He's learning with us. And here's my protein powder. On the other hand, when one looks at real time, he seems so comfortable. He is. On the other hand, when one looks at real time, there's a very big difference between the forward and backward directions, as we all know. Where does this difference where does this difference between the past and the future come from? Why do we remember the past but not the future? The laws of science do not distinguish between the past and the future. More precisely, as explained earlier, the laws of science are unchanged under the combination of operations or symmetries known as C, P, and T. C means changing particles for antiparticles. P means taking the mirror image, so left and right are interchanged, and T means reversing the direction of motion of all particles, in effect running the motion backward. Dr. Krauss? The laws of science that govern the behavior of matter under all normal situations are unchanged under the combination of the two operations C and P on their own. In other words, life would be just the same for the inhabitants of another planet who were both mirror images of us and who were made of antimatter rather than matter. Wow! Antimatter rather than matter. Same life. If the laws of science are unchanged by the combination of operations C and P, and also by the combination CP and T, they must also be unchanged under the operation T alone. Yet, there is a big difference between the forward and backward directions of real time in ordinary life. Imagine a cup of water falling off a table and breaking into pieces on the floor. If you take a film of this, you can easily tell whether it is being run forward or backward. If you run it backward, you will see the pieces suddenly gather themselves together off the floor and jump back to form a whole cup on the table. You can tell that the film is being run backward because this kind of behavior is never observed in ordinary life. If it were crockery, manufacturers would go out of business. There you go. The explanation that is usually given as to why we don't see broken cups gathering themselves together off the floor and jumping back onto the table is that it is forbidden by the second law of thermodynamics. So if there is a quiz question as to why this does not happen, you can safely say, second law, my lord. Second law of thermodynamics will be at your service. But is there more to this story? Is there? Is there more to the story? We'll see. This says that in any closed system, disorder or entropy always increases with time. So the fact, because entropy always increases with time, the orderliness should decrease with time. In other words, it is a form of Murphy's Law. Things always tend to go wrong. I would agree. An intact cup on the table is in a state of high order, but a broken cup on the floor is a disordered state. One can go readily from the cup on the table in the past to the broken cup on the floor in the future, but not the other way around because of second law of thermodynamics. The increase of disorder or entropy with time is one example of what is called an arrow of time, something that distinguishes the past from the future, giving a direction to time, giving some method to this madness called time. There are at least three